The intro for Jono is written by Jerry Stanford, who was Jono's head men's lacrosse coach here at Messiah College. For the 4 years that Jono Linebaugh played men's lacrosse at Messiah, he gave us the luxury of feeling like we had the best player on the field in every game that we played, regardless of who our opponent was. While that was certainly a benefit, his ability to make those around him better proved just as, if not more important. While Jono stands by himself atop the program record book for career assist by a large margin, it isn't that ability alone that allowed him to have such a strong and positive impact on his teammates. When our best player was also the one who rarely gets outworked outside of practice and is constantly working on his shooting and stick work before and after team events, it drove others to do the same. Jono treated practices like games, which wasn't always admired at first by some of our defensemen who had to guard him on a daily basis. I remember our defenders often passing him off in practice to freshmen early on. But after a while, they would tend to fight over covering him because they realized how much better it made them when they matched his efforts on the practice field. While the stat book will never show it, I think that Jono's best role on our team was as a spiritual leader. Our team's attitude and behavior on and off the field was certainly affected by his willingness to challenge his teammates to remember what it means to wear Messiah on the front of our jerseys, and why we should strive to be different as individuals and as a program. I once asked him why he was talking so much to his defensemen during a game when the ball was down on the other side of the field, and Jono's response shouldn't have surprised me. Jono stated, "I'm witnessing, Coach. I shared the gospel with him during the game." Jono Linebaugh possessed a great ability to play and compete at an extremely high level, while maintaining a strong example to his teammates, coaches, and opponents that a Messiah College athlete can be driven by more than just the desire to win a game. I believe that is very fitting that the men's lacrosse program's first inductee into the Messiah College Athletics Hall of Honor is Jono Linebaugh, class of 2005.
It's an honor to be able to address you. I'm only sorry that I can't be there in person this evening. I'm away in England where I live now with my family, and it made it impossible for us to be with you tonight. But it's a tremendous honor to be recognized and honored in this way. And I want to take the chance, and I'm grateful to have the chance, to thank some people associated with Messiah Lacrosse, and some people associated with me and my life more generally. The first person I want to thank is Coach Jerry Stanford, who was the head coach of Messiah Lacrosse the 4 years I was there. He was a wonderful coach. He became a good friend. He's also the person who established the Messiah Lacrosse program, and so many of us are so grateful for that, both past, present, and no doubt future. I also want to thank Coach Stanford for recruiting some people who became some of my closest friends. But I also have to admit that he didn't actually recruit me. I had plans to go play lacrosse somewhere else. I think Coach Stanford knew about that, and it was very late in the day when I actually reached out to Coach Stanford. I had already graduated from high school, and I was trying to figure out what was next. And I wrote to Coach Stanford and said, I think I might be changing my mind. I think I might like to come play lacrosse at Messiah. And Coach Stanford worked with me and on my behalf and with Messiah to make that happen, and I'm deeply grateful. And the 4 years of Messiah Lacrosse were some of the best of my life. But that's obviously not where the story starts. The story starts with my family. Both my mother and father played lacrosse at university, in high school, and some of my earliest memories are of throwing the lacrosse ball with my dad. But it was really when my older brother Josh started playing lacrosse that it became something that was part of my life. Playing with him, losing to him in the sort of one-on-one games that we played is when lacrosse started to be fun, started to be competitive, started to be something I wanted to do too. But the only reason I had lacrosse sticks or lacrosse gloves or helmets, the only reason I made it to any lacrosse practices or games was because of my mom. She was the one who shared my lacrosse life with me from the beginning and still shares it now in some ways. It's something we've always been able to do together. It was something we were able to share with my grandparents who lived near Messiah in Palmyra, Pennsylvania, and could come and watch me play. But it was my mom who was always there, and I'm grateful and want to say thank you to her. And I get to share lacrosse with my family now. My wife, my 3 kids. But when I first met, in the first week of Messiah College, the person who is my wife, I was surprised to learn that she didn't even know what lacrosse was. And I found this troubling. And what it revealed to me is that lacrosse was actually too important to me. And this is a really important part of my story. I loved lacrosse, but I was counting on lacrosse too much at a certain time to be a sort of reason why people might love me. And those who are my teammates, and certainly Coach Stanford will remember, that about halfway through my sophomore year at Messiah, I thought I needed to step away from the team, to step away from lacrosse. And the remarkable thing about that was even when I thought I wasn't going to play lacrosse anymore, my then girlfriend and now wife, Megan, continued to love me. My teammates and friends continued to hang out with me. My coach, who was confused, nevertheless, continued to sympathize and empathize with me. And through that process, I learned that lacrosse was a gift. It was something fun, something I get to do, something I get to work hard at, but not something that defines or determines who I am. What defines and determines who I am is my Savior, Jesus Christ, something that I got to experience in many ways at Messiah College, and experience as part of Messiah lacrosse. And when I went through that and came out the other side, counting on lacrosse not to define who I am, but enjoying lacrosse as something I got to share with my teammates and with my family and with my friends, it was fun again. And those last 3 years especially of Messiah lacrosse are some of the most fun I've ever had. We won and we lost, we bled and we sweat, we tried, we cried, but we loved playing lacrosse together. And I think it's that love that we had for each other and for lacrosse that's probably the reason I still keep playing. Since then, I've attended Durham University where I did some graduate work, and I played on their lacrosse team, and we won a couple of national championships. I now teach at the University of Cambridge, and I play on the lacrosse team here, and I play in European championships. And just this last summer, we won a pan-European lacrosse championship. I'm still loving it. I'm still having fun. But all the fun I'm having are really memories and ways of re-experiencing the magic of those 4 years at Messiah. I loved lacrosse before Messiah. I love lacrosse now and after Messiah. But the 4 years that are the highlight of my lacrosse life with my family and with my friends, are my years at Messiah. I'm grateful to my teammates who shared that with me, who made it so special. I'm grateful to Coach Stanford for bringing me to Messiah, for establishing the program. I'm grateful to my family who shared it with me, who loved me through it, who came to the games, who still like to watch me play, that I even get to have my kids watch me play and start to play now. And I'm grateful to Messiah College to be a place where we got to do that, but also to be a place where as we did that, and as I worked through the role that lacrosse had in my life, it was also a place that pointed me to the one that determines and defines who I am, a child loved by God because of Jesus Christ. Lacrosse is part of how God has shown me that. I'm grateful to Messiah for that. I'm grateful to lacrosse for that. I'm grateful to my family for that. And ultimately, I'm grateful to my God for that. So I want to say thank you. I want to say what an honor it is to be recognized for the time I spent. And I accept this recognition on behalf of Coach Stanford, on behalf of my teammates, on behalf of my family. I'm going to say thank you to Messiah and to Messiah Lacrosse.